anyone who's lost a much-loved pet knows the huge sadness that descends on a household. The dog Guy was with her way back when she was working on Suits. He was a rescue dog. He, accompanied her eventually, I think, to England, and then after some difficulty, because he wasn't able to travel for a bit, and then obviously he's been with them in Montecito, and the children have grown up with the dog. And I mean, anyone who's, been through that know how incredibly sad that is. And so naturally, I entirely sympathize with that. I mean, I'm, of course, as you can imagine, rather old-fashioned, and I do follow lots of things on social media. And it seems to me that there's a new trend now, which is that when somebody dies, people often announce it on social media. And equally, as you, I'm sure, will have discovered, people who unfortunately go to have a wounded leg or a broken arm or something, they have a habit of posting that, which is something one doesn't necessarily want to see. So it's obviously part of the new trend that when something sad happens in a family setup, you share it. And on this occasion, the images that were put out were very charming on the whole, and showed what the dog meant, I suppose, to the family. And yes, we did indeed see Archie and Lilibet briefly, and Prince Harry, of course, Meghan Markle herself, and Guy the dog. We saw them all there. Whether, I think that's the normal way people do things these days. And of course, it was quite a well-made video, and rather sad for her that it was the third one on her Love Meghan, new Instagram channel, when we saw Guy a couple of days ago sitting there falling asleep while he was watching the cookery course. Obviously, you saw the dog actually in her own home, where the cookery course was taking place in some other residence, and it was very personal. And I'm sure it will engage a lot of sympathy, because, as I say, anyone who's lost a much-loved pet knows, what an awful situation that is for everybody. Everybody is very, very upset, and young children who've always known the little chap, will feel particularly sad that he isn't around anymore. So, it's a sad moment. And so I suppose, yes, I think, to answer your question, obviously it's a much more genuine presentation than some of the other ones have been.
He's not gonna fall. Don't you worry, Mama has him. Thank you for being such a good boy.
He does sound English. Well, he's got an English father. Another thing that you will have probably learned from this presentation is that she refers to herself as Mama, which again is a bit of extra information, I guess, that we didn't know before. I think it comes back to what any family, and in particular them, I suppose, decide to share with the world. And so most of it is fairly, I don't know how to put it, quite organized, if you like, or scripted. And this one was something which will, I think, gain more sympathy than some of the other ones. And so presumably that was partly to share the loss, which, as I say, anyone who's had a pet will understand. And somehow there's something particularly sad about losing a pet that's been such a part of a family life for such a long time, and gone through all sorts of adventures with her, particularly going right back to her days in Canada. It's a sort of horrible milestone, really. And if you choose to share that, what are you asking for? You're asking for a sympathy, I think, when I think people will feel that. Whereas some of the other things that they put out are rather different to that. But I think in this occasion, that's probably the end result. I've no doubt that she was devoted to the dog and had taken him from a rescue place when he was, having a pretty dismal life, and obviously gave him a good life, and that's highly commendable. And I think you will find also that, when something horrible happens, you put differences aside to some extent, and you share the human emotion, if I can put it like that, and you can't help feeling sorry for them, and they're obviously going to be going through some very dismal days in the days to come, because it takes a long time to get over those sort of things. There's a terrible lack, a loss. I mean, obviously, if it's a human, that's the same thing. That same thing happens there if it's a much loved member of the family. But there's something particular about pets, because they rely so much on you, and they are your constant friends, and they don't criticize you the way that other humans do. So, there's a very strong bond of devotion between any owner and their pet. And I think, as I say, anyone who's gone through that, and most of us have, it's pretty grim and grisly.